You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hey there, welcome to episode 183 of the Soul Forge podcast.
Welcome to the Soul Forge, a place of silent mystery, quiet contemplation, and outright mayhem. Join your host, Sean Vanderloo, as he guides you through the adventures of living. Together, we'll talk about life and love, sex and dating, joy and heartache, memories and loss, and so much more. Don't worry, it's not nearly as pretentious as it sounds. Get ready for life, the universe, and everything on the Soul Forge.
Hey gang, welcome to the final episode of 2020. Today, as this is being released, it's December the 17th, 2020. My brother Curtis's 40th birthday, so happy birthday to Curtis. I know that there are 2 more weeks left in the year. That would be the 24th and the 31st for release days, but I'm going to take those 2 weeks off. I'll be back January 7th with who knows what kind of an episode, because that's next year. This final episode of the year, I'm cleverly calling Hindsight is 2020 or something like that. I haven't made up the title or the cover page art for the episode yet, but the exciting thing is I figured what I would do is, because at the beginning of the year, the episode was called 2020 Vision. I just listened to it yesterday, actually, so I could prep for this episode that I'm recording right now. So 2020 Vision, hindsight is 2020, you know, all the clever stuff that's not really funny or whatever, but kind of works for podcasting purposes. What I'm going to do is I was going to go over all the points that I made in that episode at the beginning of the year, but there's no real purpose to do that. I'm just going to touch on some things briefly. Where are we at the end of 2020 as opposed to where we started? Well, nobody could have predicted that 2020 would be the year of the mass pandemic around the world. Who could say? Who knew that was coming? Nobody could say. It's unpredictable. There's going to be thousands of scholarly articles and non-scholarly articles and TV shows and podcasts and everything about this for the foreseeable future. It's going to be awful. The thing that people are going to take away the most, of course, is the great toilet paper shortage of the spring. Luckily, that didn't last very long. Everything seems to have somewhat gone back to normal. It's not, of course, because we're all wearing masks and we're washing our hands and we're social distancing. And this is the year that the holidays were kind of messed up. What is it? The Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines are out, and I guess there's a couple more coming along the way. Last week, I believe it was, that the British folk finally started getting their vaccines, and I think the Americans have started to get some now too. I'm not really sure. But I just know that I won't get one based on my level of health and the fact that I'm not a healthcare worker, probably till the summer, I would guess. I know there's a lot of pushback against having the vaccine because, you know, vaccines are supposed to take years and years to develop and lots of research, and this was done in a matter of months. Is there side effects? Who knows? I heard on the radio this morning that side effects usually show up within a week or two of the thing being injected into your arm, and the people who have been affected already were allergic to those ingredients in the vaccine and all that stuff. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I don't want to talk about the pandemic any more than I already have. So I'm just going to touch on some things in episode 133. That was 2020 Vision. This is episode 183. That means there's been 50 episodes. There's 52 weeks in a year. There's 2 weeks left to go in this year. That means I did not miss a single week coming and bringing this podcast to you every week this year. Hope you appreciate it. Of course you do. I know you do. I know you've been loving it. I know for a fact that you've been leaving 5-star reviews in the iTunes store and all the other podcatchers of your choice, because as loyal listeners, why wouldn't you, right? Because you love the Soul Forge. We all love the Soul Forge. We have a great community. Have you gone to soulforgepodcast.com and checked out all the social media links and the YouTube channel and all that stuff? I hope you have. That would be awesome. So anyway, what I'm going to do is just get right into it after this promo for another podcast right here on the ESO Network.
The 42 cast is turning 100, but like all good things, it must come to an end. Tune in to our epic finale as we see who lives, who dies, and who gets their own spin-off. And then come back when the 42 cast is back for season 2, with even more segments, more guests, and more of explaining why Ryan is wrong. It's why we're still the ultimate answer to fandom, geekiness, and everything. You can only find all this awesome by downloading the 42 cast, a proud member of the ESO Network.
Okay, so in that episode 133, I talked about my vision for the year for the podcast. I guess I wanted to get away from the mental health that I focused on heavily in 2019 and wanted to talk about success stories, happy marriages, that kind of thing. I only actually ended up getting one couple to talk about their happy marriage. That was Josh and Kitty, my co-hosts over on my other podcast, the Rusted Robot Podcast.
Hi, this is Admiral Adama.
My name's Robert J. Sawyer.
This is Cena Grace.
Hey, this is Stephen Amell.
Hey, this is Dr. Trek, Larry Nemechek.
I'm hanging with Sean
And Josh.
They're telling all about general geekery.
And you are listening to the Rusted
Robot
Podcast.
The #1 rated robot-related podcast
in Northern Ontario.
You should be following them on Twitter.
Keep listening.
Don't forget to follow them on Twitter.
Subscribe on iTunes.
TheRustedRobot.podbean.com.
The Rusted Robot Podcast. Think about it.
And I wanted to get more. However, due to the pandemic, it wasn't really easy to get people to talk about their successful marriages. So that's still something that I have hopes for in the future once life goes back to somewhat normalness. And we'll get some more success stories. That'll be great. What else did I talk about in that show? I talked about how I had just discovered radical honesty. I guess I promptly forgot about that somewhere after recording that episode. I'm sure I'm still being radically honest for the most part, but it's just something that I don't even think about. It's just there in the background. So maybe it's working. Who knows? I guess I also decided to be my more authentic self and start swearing in the episodes if the spirit moved me to do so. So I know I've done that a few times. I'm not a big cursor anyway, so whatever. What else did I talk about? According to the show notes, let's see. The plan is to focus on success stories, according to the show notes. Past episodes have focused on mental health. That's all well and good, but this year I want to take a look at people who are already where they want to be. So I tried, but obviously I couldn't do it. So that was just a fun episode talking about what I saw for the future of the year. Of course, couldn't predict what happened. But I'm going to go through the episodes and not really dissect them per se, but just talk about them briefly. Topics that I covered and see if there are any recurring themes. So the next episode was father and son chat. Me and Bishop were talking about something. Who knows what it was, because I didn't re-listen to any of the episodes from the year, but that's what we did that second week. After that, I read some poetry, and the week after that, the episode was Unexpected Magic is the Best Kind. That's where I went to Sudbury for the weekend to help celebrate my friend's birthday and met an amazing woman who was married, and we would have been great together had we had different lives. But that was neither here nor there. That was just something that happened because my buddy Renee had told me to make a list of all the qualities that I'm looking for in somebody. And had I started at that point, I can't remember if I had written down the list or had just thought about it at that point. So the week after that, the last week of January, was the infamous episode entitled About Money, where I talked about how I grew up poor. That's the episode that my dad's girlfriend informed me that she allowed him to listen to, and he hasn't really spoken to me since because I didn't really discuss him too much in the episode because I was raised by my mother and had very little contact with my dad. Not no contact, but, we didn't live together, so didn't see him all the time. I guess he's still mad at me. His birthday was in November, and I sent him a message, and he never really responded. His girlfriend said he said thanks for the birthday wishes, but I haven't heard from him. So, what's happening with my dad? I don't know. Well, I guess we'll just see. So the episode after that was an interview with a local well, he wasn't really a politician at the time, but he's on council now. The aftermath of fame with Corey Robin, because he had run for, I believe, Ward 5 councillor. So that was a fun conversation that we had. After that was Total Drama Island, where I talked about all the crap that was going on at work. And then episode 140 near the end of February. That's True Love, Josh and Kitty, co-hosts on The Rusted Robot, talking about their love life. And that was kind of nice to get their perspective and to give that to all of you guys as well. After that, I had a conversation with Tracy about redefining success. I bet that was a pretty good episode. It's got a lot of downloads, so I'm sure it was awesome. Success Redefined, episode 141. And then, beginning of March, episode 142 was The List. That's the list that I made that Renee said I should do because I wasn't having too much luck in relationships over the last few years. So I wrote down a list, and pretty much almost immediately after I did that, I met Julie, who actually fit all the categories on the list, and it's been spectacular ever since. So the week after that was the episode 143. My Dad is Mad at Me. And that's got a lot of downloads too. So I talked all about what happened and what I had learned. After that, I did something called End Times Fun, which was a take-off on the most recent comedy special that Mark Maron had done. He called his comedy special End Times Fun. Let's see, according to the show notes, I had said, yeah, okay, so we all know that the only thing on our minds is the COVID-19 virus pandemic. People are hoarding toilet paper, bottled water, we're all washing our hands. So I said it's time to take a break from that and have some fun. On this episode, I'm concentrating on overcoming our fears. I have answers from various people to the question of, if you woke up tomorrow with no fear, what would you do? That sounds like a good episode, actually. Might have to go back and listen to that. And then, episode 145 was called Engage Safety Protocols, and I believe that's the first time that Julie joined me for an episode of the podcast, because obviously I wanted to include her in all aspects of my life. So we did one on being safe during the virus. After that, Sons of a Mother, I guess me and my two brothers sat down for a chat talking about Mom, because it was the 6th year anniversary of her passing. So I don't know. I don't think I want to listen to that one again. Week after was an episode called Suicide is Painless, where I talked to Paul Wright, my buddy from the UK, one of my co-hosts on the newly minted Cosmic Pizza podcast, which I believe had its first episode in June. Episode 148 was the Dead Celebrity Resurrection Project. That was a Skype call, I believe, talking to a bunch of people about people we'd like to bring back to life. And then in episode 149, it was Robin's Year in Timmins. That's my other brother. As you all know, Robin lived with me for about a year and a half and went back home in September of this year, and he wanted to get his life back on track. So this was a yearly update for that. Episode 150 was something called Just Like Sex in Your Mouth. Sean and Julie celebrate 150 episodes of the Soul Forge podcast. So that was probably just a lot of fun. The next episode was Mighty Morphin Podcast Rangers, which came out May 7th, episode 151. That is an episode where Paul and Dan and I were talking about certain things and kind of got the idea for the Cosmic Pizza podcast. And then episode 142 was something called Weight Loss Surgery, which was another episode with Julie where she talked about her journey into weight loss and so on and so forth. Okay, and then this was tough. May 21st. Has it been that long already? Wow. The tragedy of Mark Maron and Lynn Shelton. Now, if you guys have been following me and my podcast adventures for the last little while, you know that my favorite podcast is Mark Maron's WTF.
Hey, podcast fans, Spotify is making it easy for you to stream this podcast and many others like it on your mobile device, desktop app, and smart speaker. Open the app on your mobile device or desktop, click on the browser channel, then click on the podcast section. You'll be able to stay thoroughly entertained during your commute to work, your drive home, and your downtime thanks to Spotify.
His girlfriend, Lynn Shelton, passed away in May. Can't remember what it was. I think she was only 54. She wasn't very old. It was unexpected. It wasn't COVID related, but it was something very bad. I did a long episode with a bunch of clips from his episodes talking about all the things and how they had gotten along and how sad it was that he had finally found some happiness in his life and then he lost it. So yeah, that touched a lot of people. It's got a lot of downloads as well. Episode, I don't even know what that is. I didn't say. I guess it was 153. So yeah, that was a hard one to do and a hard one to listen to, and he still talks about it even now in his episodes. So yeah, that was tough. Episode 154 was Uncle Tom's Cabin. That was a short story that I wrote back in university. Episode 155 was the Fat Shaming Shenanigans, where Heather and I talked about the tattoo artists who made a video that went viral here in Timmins, and it was not good for their business. Episode 156, Parcels for Arseholes. That was, I believe, me delivering the mail and recording a podcast at the same time, talking about how unimpressed I was with my job. That seems to be a theme, because that's not the first episode that I've talked about how I don't like my job. Episode 157 was something called Role Models, the Father's Day special. And let's see, we start this episode with a brief history of Father's Day. I don't know, I guess it was fine. I don't know. Episode 158 was the Cosmic Pizza episode, where I believe I just played the first episode for all you guys so that you could hear what we sound like over on Cosmic Pizza, and hopefully you subscribe to it and are listening to it, and it's one of your favorite shows, which it should be, and it recently just joined the ESO network.
Everyone these days could use a little support, and your friends at the ESO network are no different. With the ESO network Patreon, the cool thing is when you help support us, it's you who will benefit. With 4 tiers starting for as little as 25 cents a week, you can listen to some of your favorite network podcasts early, hear exclusive content, maybe get some ESO swag, or even possibly take a shot at the geek seat. All you need to do is sign up at patreon.com/ESO network.
159 is Adulthood Real. Oh, and then 160, Robots, Replicas, and You, Simulation or Reality. That was a fun one to do. It was a lot of research. I actually adapted it and put it over on the Treks and Sci-Fi podcast as a guest spot. I was hoping it would get more listens and downloads than it did, because it was really special to me, this episode 160. But I didn't get a lot of downloads. I guess nobody cares if they're a robot or a replica. But it was fun, and it was really in-depth. 161, also not a lot of downloads. It was talking about favorite things. And episode 162 was the half-assed Zodiac episode. And it said, okay, so this week we'll be discussing a few aspects of the Virgo star sign. Starting off with a brief discussion of topic ideas, we move into a general overview of astrology. This is definitely going to be a half-assed Zodiac episode. And apparently I spelled definitely wrong. So I'm not perfect, guys. I'm not perfect. Who knew? I'm very disappointed in myself, but I'm not going to go back and change it because whatever, who cares? Okay, let's take a break from all the episodes that I was talking about here. I got a credit on my Visa bill the other day from Eagle Moss Publishing, and I was like, okay, a credit. I wonder what that's all about. So I emailed the company, and I've been collecting Eagle Moss starships since I was married to Bridget. So it's been going on, let's see, at least 2013 or 2014 since I've started these ships, and I was supposed to get 2 a month, and I think the last time I got anything was in June, because they can never get any good, I don't know what to call it, stock here in Canada for whatever reason, because the company's British, and I've gone months and months without getting any kind of ships, and then they would come for a while, and then they would go again. So I got the email back from them, and apparently they've stopped shipping to Canada because of COVID and other reasons. So I've got about 65 ships. There's like 200 in the collection, and now I cannot be a completist because they've stopped shipping to Canada, and that made me very sad. Another thing that made me sad is on Facebook, there's a game that I've been playing since 2008 called Super Slot Machines, and it runs on Adobe Flash. Adobe Flash ends December 31st, so as of December 31st, I won't be able to play this game anymore, and I've been playing it for over a decade, so I played it once a day, and I'm going to have to find something else to do with my time. Okay, so back to the recap of the last year. Episode 163 was the 3rd anniversary special because, as you know, the end of July 2017 was when the first episode came out. So this came out July 30th, and I think this was one where I chatted with Heather, where we talked about advice and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. And then 164 was the life coach session. That's where my brother Robin decided he was going to take a life coaching course to get his life on track and help other people. Episode 165 was the glow up. That was an author interview with Unica. So that was a lot of fun. It's always good to get an author interview in here once or twice. Parenting Life in the Fast Lane, episode 166. This was kind of a project for my buddy Renee that he had to do, so that was good. Another chat with Tracy for episode 167 at the end of August, Witchcraft for Beginners, because she's recently gotten into that. That might be the last Tracy episode. I haven't really seen her much lately because of COVID and all kinds of stuff. Episode 168 was Jeremy Spoke in Class today. That was talking with Jeremy. He'd recently started up the Fandom Squad podcast, and we talked about his childhood and all kinds of stuff like that. Episode 169 was going back to school in 2020. I think I might have talked to my kid about that, actually. Oh, no, it was, let's see. In this episode, we remember back to school rituals. The coming of another school year always meant back to school shopping. And I guess Julie's daughter was on this show briefly as well. That's cool. Episode 170 was cultural touchstones. And then another author interview, episode 171, A Cup of Tea with Mahogany. So that was a lot of fun. And episode 172 was another fun episode. I found my grade 2 report card. You remember I was going through a box of stuff that I'd put off from all the dead people that I have. I was going through a box of papers and I found my report card. So that was kind of neat and got to learn who I was when I was 7 years old. I was a slacker. Who knew? And then after that, another Julie chat talking about communication with Julie, episode 173. We talked about effective communication. Episode 174 was another walk and talk, I believe, talking about how I should start a true crime podcast to get a lot of listeners because I'd like more listeners. Episode 175 was end of October, awkward dates. That was just a random show, I believe. And at the very end of October, it was calm, cool, and collected. Robin goes home. So this was about a month after Robin had gone back home, and we got an update on his life. And then episode 177 was a chat with my co-hosts over on Rusted Robot about passions and don't mask your passions and don't hide your geekiness, because my brother had put a link to Star Trek face masks on, and I said I was too embarrassed to wear them out there even though I'm a huge Star Trek fan. So that was the whole thing. And then episode 178 was called When I Was Your Age, and that's me talking to my son Bishop about when I was 14 back in 1990. And then 179 was new car decisions. Am I going to get a Tesla? Am I going to get a Volkswagen? I have gotten neither so far. Episode 180 was called Over My Dead Body, where we talked about death rituals. That was me and Julie. And then These Emotions, though, was episode 181, where I told some bad jokes and talked about everything that's been very emotional in my life. And the last episode was called Lights, Camera, Live Stream, where basically I played what I had talked about on the live stream. So that's a history of the last year of podcasts. Obviously, you know all that because you've been listening steadily. But I had some author interviews. I talked to Robin quite a bit, talked to Julie quite a bit, talked about how much I can't stand my job. It was a little bit of this, a little bit of that, all very random. So I'm hoping for next year to get some success stories for married people. Like I'd really like to get my buddy Renee and his wife Jen. They've been married, I'm going to say since, maybe 2004, roughly around there anyway. They've been together for about 20 years. So if we can ever get together and record a podcast, we'll have them. Maybe Julie's mom and stepdad, they've been together over 20 years. That would be fun. Hey, if you guys out there in podcast land want to be on the show, I highly encourage it. Obviously, you know, any kind of topic goes. That's what it is. It's life, the universe, and everything here on SoulForge. So reach out. Send me some emails. I would really love some interaction. Follow the Facebook page. I know I tell you this all the time and you never do, because I can tell because no new likes on the Facebook page. So go ahead, like it, share the links, follow all the stuff. That would just be really great. That's what I would like. Just for Christmas, guys and girls and folks and all the people out there in podcast land. Like the shows, follow the links, do the things. Hey, if you want to send me Christmas gifts, go to Ko-fi.com/rustedsoul. The link is on the website. You can send me $3 for a coffee, and that'll help support the show. For those who have this year, it's highly appreciated. Yeah, just thanks for that, everyone. Other than that, it's just I'm tired, and I need to take a break for a few weeks, so that's why I won't be back until January 7th. But in the meantime, keep doing all the things. Send me emails, topic ideas, anything like that. What do you want the Soul Forge to bring you? What kind of news? What kind of information? That's what I'm here for. I'm here for your support. Anyway, yeah, I hope this was more profound than I feel that it was. It's been rough at work this past few days, and I'm really kind of tired, but I wanted to get an episode out for you. So here it is. Hope you enjoy it. I'll see you next year. Hindsight is 2020, so take care, and remember, you don't know what you don't know. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Soul Forge podcast. Your support is greatly appreciated, and we hope you'll tune in again next time. Remember that you can visit soulforgepodcast.com for all of our social media links, and don't forget to share the show with everyone you know. The Soul Forge podcast is your best source for living your best life.
Think about it.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.